sun's eternal night. Heroes from across worlds stand and unite. No other foe or force can match their might. The once great people of this world now hide in fear. All chaos shaken by the power of sword and spear. The black-clad armies of the Dark One now draw near. But in the distance, the sergeant and the bear appear. Great heroes have passed along, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes have passed along, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Legions of Romans stand and let their arrows fly. The roaring of dragons and machines fills the sky. Secret agents and the generals they defy. Swarms of orcs and samurai raise their banners high. In the wake of death, only one man stands alone. The sergeant raises his sword, high silver shone. He condemns the chaos the warlock is has sown. He stands longing for the day he may return home. Great heroes of past along, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Until the war for the wellsprings is won, they will fight until there are none. But a hero will stand alone as one, and the bloodshed is finally done. Great heroes are passed along, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes are passed along, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation, 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 to end the age of annihilation.
Welcome to ToV Live. It is Valhalla time. It is time where it's part 2, guys. Part 2 out of more than likely 3 of looking at this entire wave that comes in 3. We covered G.I. Joe last Wednesday. We're going to be covering Gathering Storm tonight. Maybe a little bit of Thorman's Thunder. Depends on how long we go for tonight. So yeah, this triple header of a series, going to be looking at everything that Renegade released a few weeks ago, and this chat's already filling up. My goodness, it's a let's see here, not counting Twitch. Justin is the first in the YouTube chat. Welcome, Bill Flint, Major Midnight. Who else is there? Tales of Valhalla, I know that person. Premium Scape, Matthias Maccabees, he's with me here too. Bill Flint and Derek. Yeah, a lot of y'all. Welcome. I think Haxala was there too as well, and Dan Antonio. I think some people are going to be looking for like the contest drawing as well, so we're going to get into that in a second. But first, those who are with me on the panel tonight to go over these first looks at these units. I have, of course, Sir Jeremy, the LSE McCullough, with me, resident lore master. And then we have, as a guest tonight, Mr. Ken Williams, who needs no introduction. All you need to do is go to a championship and hear him shout,
"Play faster!"
Exactly. and so that's who you need to look for. But he also helps co-host the podcast Jandar's Dispatch, wonderful podcast, just getting started. Ken and Gordon, check it out. Link in the description below for that. But how about we get started tonight, guys? Okay, first thing we're gonna do is we got a contest from the React stream a few weeks ago, and we got a lot of names, guys. There is a lot of names here. A lot of entries. So we are gotta find that right button. We're gonna click it and we're gonna spin it and we're gonna see who gets the prize. Live. Apparently Donald Summer wins. There you go. Congratulations. We'll be contacting you soon enough. All right, now we're gonna hop over to here, and gonna be looking at Gathering Storm tonight, guys, which has 4 units, but there's also an additional promo unit that we're gonna get to first, and that is, of course, Sylvaris. I'm so excited. I can't tell you how excited I am. There's another version of me. So I might fanboy out on my own character tonight. So just look at that. Okay, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna just start it right away, guys, and I might keep track of the time a little bit because we don't want to go on forever with these things because there's still a lot of units to go through. But let's just start. Sylvaris. It looks actually rather young in this picture. This artwork. Very, very interesting artwork, especially with the arm, the wood arm, which I'm sure we're gonna get the explanation in the lore. I hope so. So here we go. Okay, are you guys ready for this? Because I've been preparing for this all week. Okay. As light returns to his eyes, Sylvaris sees Lucia towering above him. I told you, boy, I cannot be bested by a single combatant, Lucia says. Your little thorns may sting, but with Channa at my side, they are easily removed. Sylvaris feels the heat draining from his body, his entire side soaked with sweat and blood. Yet the wizard's boasting rekindles a flickering anger in the elf's heart. Some challenge, Sylvaris retorts, forcing breath into his lungs. Goading better warriors into your game and relying on your little bird to keep yourself standing. He braces himself for the end, but Lucia softens. What I'm trying to teach you, boy, is that you cannot win battles alone. I have Channa to restore me. Your kinsman Sanlan has Vesla to protect him. You may be mighty, but it is folly to wage war by yourself. Never mind the fact that Sylvaris likes to do everything himself. Channa hops to the dying elf and begins a new song. Her notes flow with a golden warmth, sealing the wound, knitting flesh and skin together in a sunlit glow. She pauses, letting Lucia continue his lecture. You have potential, boy. You are the first challenger brave enough to face me. Of course he is. As he speaks, the wizard kneels and traces an outline of an arm in the dirt near Sylvaris' wounded shoulder. From that mark, a sapling rises, its tip bending into a bone-like structure before rapidly growing into a living appendage. I leave you this gift as a reward for your courage, and a reminder of your arrogance. Heed my lesson. You are but one arrow. It'll take a volley to survive the days ahead. As the Dryon and Zenithwing depart, Sylvaris rises to his feet, steadied by his new arm. Rage still simmers within him as he considers the wizard's words. Then slowly his mind settles, Amidst the watching trees, Silvarus swears a solemn vow. I will become a volley all to myself. Exactly. It's the Silvarus that I know and love. I can tell you that for sure. Jeremy, what do you think? Now, I have this feeling like there's a little mix of ToV and original Heroscape in here. What do you think?
I mean, this character they wanted to focus on, since we already have Drake's got 3 options. Raylan's got 4. They're focusing on all the other characters, so I think a lot of classic characters, the vibes that they had from them back in the day, got mixed into this for sure.
I like how just Silvarus's attitude is like, and I always like, we knew from the early beginning, like early talks when creating Tales of Valhalla, we already kind of knew that Silvarus was a headstrong character. I think I just made him a bit more bombastic than what's in the original lore. But I like how still that's still going, and he seems like, and that's what, going back to, I was commenting how young he was. So he's actually like a very young elf character. Is that correct, Jeremy?
I don't know if they ever went over his age, but we do know that he got himself into the mess. Basically, his arrogance is a big part of what they talk about.
Okay. Well, I like it. I like it how he is continuing going after enemies that are too great for him to handle, yet he still goes. And so it's an enemy that ended up giving him this new arm, basically. I guess
Halucia gave him.
Yeah, Halucia. Yeah.
The wizard.
Yeah. So, or I mean, was he fighting Halucia? Is that the that's the gist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were fighting, and then he struck him on his arm, and then grew a tree to help his arm restore. I
gotta play that into TV somehow. I gotta think of something for that character. But anyway, that's looking at that bit of lore. Let's look at the card. All right, Silvarus, Alar. Let's read through these stats real quick. Life of 4, move of 5, range of 9, attack of 4, defense of 2, 110 points. Elf, unique hero, archer, precise, medium 5. A volley unto himself. Yes. After moving before attacking, you may reduce Silvarus's range value to 6 and make up to 2 normal attacks this turn, or you may reduce it to 3 and make up to 3 normal attacks this turn. So Ken, what are your thoughts on Sir Silvarus here, this card?
He's more aggressive than his previous iteration. He's got to get closer to get multiple attacks, unlike the last one. I mean, attack of 4 is better than attack of 3. So, but obviously his defense stats haven't changed. He's still got 2 defense, 4 life, so he's still pretty squishy. So you still got to keep him behind some sort of screen. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to be very selective about the 3 attacks of 3. Now the nice thing is it can be the same character. So he could attack the same character 3 times. He doesn't have to have 3 different targets. Mm-hmm. Unlike Q11, who has to have 3 different targets. So I like that, but I think a lot of times you're probably going to do 2 attacks at 6 range. Even the 1 attack at 9, I feel like you still got to be kind of selective about when you want to move them up to the 6, just depending on what you're going against. But I think the 3 attacks of 3, you're probably in a Holy Toledo type situation if you're sending him that far up without a screen. Mm-hmm. But if he has a nice screen and there's not much shooting back at him, he'll stick around for a while. But if you're fighting against range commons or something, he's probably gonna want to try and stay with that 9 range if he can.
So would you think that he's just maybe just slightly better than what he originally was? Because of the fact
he's 10 more points.
Yeah.
So in theory, he's better, right? Mm-hmm. The 4 base attack is really strong, right?
Sure.
But you're paying for that in terms of, in order to attack twice, I've got to be 6 spaces away. Like 4th Mass, 10th Regiment, that doesn't outrange them, right? Stingers, it does. So it forces them to move, but Stingers have solid stats anyway. So that's not, that's not super helpful. So I still think he wants. I mean, what I really see is he's kind of better closer. He's a better closer figure than he was before.
Okay.
Before you would use him a lot of times to start. You would use him to shoot as they came forward. I think you're closing out games with him, kind of like Kaminawa in OGscape. Oftentimes would be used as a closer. I feel like so that's something Savaris. That's kind of his new role here.
Now, for point, what's Kaminawa's points?
120.
120. Okay, so it's slightly cheaper. Yeah. I'd say that's a good assessment. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, from what you can see, you definitely want to try to keep you want to keep him because you want those bonus attacks, but you got to watch that low defense. So it's like he's definitely like what Ken was explaining. Like you got to be really careful with him because I think you put him in a bad spot. That 2 defense isn't going to do much.
And wouldn't Valiant himself just help a little bit of a battle rush against him slightly, if he can get fire at enemies that are getting closer to him? I think that's kind of the purpose for that ability, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you could do some interesting stuff. Like if you're going to win an initiative, like you could run him up, get 3 attacks of 4, know that you have Dagmar, the initiative plus 8 glyph, and then maybe be able to retreat him the next round. But I feel like once you put him forward, you're going to want to keep feeding him mortar markers. Otherwise, you just leave him there, he's going to die.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think? Like, say with say Raylan, Savaris, like some type of common squad to where, and I'm trying to remember Raylan 4.0. Could Savaris like attack one of your friendlies, and then would that allow her to get next to the friendly, or would that be going next to Savaris? I'm trying to remember
You mean the swoop? You mean swoop, Raylan?
Yeah.
You're gonna make me look at this card, aren't you? I mean,
I'm not sure.
Website.
I'm pretty sure she actually like swoops towards the person who does the attacking. So I'm probably reading that.
I want to say it's opponents, but let me read the card. Normal attack from an enemy figure. Yeah, it has to be an enemy figure.
Okay. So. All right. So that's throw that out. Throw that idea out. Okay. Yeah.
So that was a good try, Ryan.
Yeah. I'm trying to memorize things. So yeah, closer figure. It's a shame. I think though, like trying to bond him with like developing some type of bonding with him with like any type of common squad will end up probably overpowering him a little bit. And that's why they keep him kind of isolated.
Well, right. And the nice thing about the 9 range is like you don't have to be that far forward to get a shot off, right? So so that's kind of nice about you move 5 spaces out of your start zone at 9 range, you might already have a shot, right? You might not even have to develop him much to get that first attack, depending on at what point in the game you start activating him.
For sure. But don't depend on him. Totally. He might want you to depend on him, but don't depend on him. All right. Anything else to say about it before we move on? Pretty fair. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great to see Savaris. I think this was a big surprise for me seeing it at Gen Con, that they're Renegade's kind of listening to us to like, okay, bring back some of these OG units, and it's a welcome thing to see. So that's taking a look at Savaris 2.0. All right. Now let's move on. Let me see what the chat's saying here. While we a little bit more comfortable tonight because we're not going through 17 units like we did G.I. Joe last week. But let me see what the let's see here. Yeah, Warpig is asking is 10 points better with it? I mean, with the altered ability, possibly. And also an extra attack die too for him. Dan's saying maybe you could play him with Thorman and Kraken. That would be interesting. I'd have to look that up. How would he go with Warpig's asking? How would he go against the Giants? Go with the Giants, just have a whole like long range Long range archer army. That would be interesting. And Derek saying, next time we play, Ken, cut off my arm, and when you beat me, but replace it with a 2x4 and say you're helping me. And then someone's mentioning the fact that, because I understand this reference, Dan's saying Derek trying to be Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Exactly. Well, Plank was the ultimate character in Ed, Edd and Eddy, and try and prove me wrong with that. I'm just saying, Plank was it. Plank was the man. He was so popular that he just remained stiff, you know. So, all right.
Derek's referring to the glyph there. I had forgot disengage was a new glyph from Renegade, and I was playing against Derek one time, and I had Savaris locked down. I thought I was fine, and he grabbed the disengage glyph and just ran into my start zone and wrecked Savaris wrecked me. But he did not win the game, which is really all that matters, Derek.
Yeah, but sometimes it's those just moments to where it's like, you know, I could have had you there, you know. It's those almost ones that make you think.
He caught me off guard. He 100% did. I give him credit for that.
All right, let's take a look. Okay, Gathering Storm, Chain Gruts. I know Ken's looking forward to this. So let's look at Chain Gruts first. The Gruts have improved. All right, let's read through this lore for them. On the world of Grut, struggle and conflict are a way of life. Nature itself is at war with the inhabitants of this savage world. Extreme climates, sudden shifts in weather, towering predators, and unforgiving terrain have shaped the orcs of Grut into a hardened, unrelenting people. Their culture was forged in clashes between clans and the daily fight for survival. Eat or be eaten, survival of the fittest. But conflict can breed innovation. The need to outmatch their enemies drove the orc clans to developing new strategies, weapons, and tools of war. In ancient times, it was the clans that first mastered bronze, working and tamed wild beasts who rose above their rivals and conquered vast swaths of land. As generations passed, new technologies became necessary to maintain dominance. A steady arms race unfolded, fueling the industrialization of this savage world. Interesting. Steel, steam, and lightning were harnessed in the name of progress. As the orc clans waged increasingly technological wars, the demand for resources exploded. Some of the more cunning engineers realized that a tool capable of felling trees or mining rock could be just as effective at slaying enemies. Thus, the chain axe was born, and with it, the chain gruts. These infantry quickly became a staple of every orc army and workforce. Their terrifying efficiency is rivaled only by the gruesome brutality of their chosen weapons. Whether cutting through trees, steel, or enemies, chain gruts are more than happy to let their axes do all the talking. When Valorak first received visions of Grut, she immediately recognized the potential these warriors had for realizing her grandiose plans of Hakaland and beyond. The chain gruts and their cavalry officers were among her first recruits, forming the backbone of her growing operation, whether fighting on the front lines, erecting massive structures, or helping keep the peace on the home front. These orcs have proven to be one of Valorak Enterprise's most vital and dependable assets. No, we're not talking about Geller right now, though. No, absolutely. Who are those? We don't know who those are yet. So Jeremy, Grut kind of had a makeover because I mean you're a little bit familiar with this planet because I think we've talked about it before in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
This is a part that the fun part about Heroscape. You know, it is the battle of all time, and it's easier to focus on Earth's timelines because we have an entire historical record of it. You know, you just go to the library and you can learn all about Earth's history. but we don't really think about the history of the other worlds that are in Heroscape. This, this is a shout out as well to the original design team, because it was, I want to say it was Colby Dodge and the others who invested that idea, because they brought the Mario dividers and Tobacra are from Mars future. So they were able to like play with different timelines in the same planets that they were using. So this is kind of that same effect. The chain Gruts come from a future timeline of Grut, whereas we're used to seeing their past versions or their more ancient style versions, minus the heavy Gruts, of course. But it was just being able to see a timeline form out is one of those cool things about the Battle of All Time. So this right here is a future Grut. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool that Valorek was able to like pull them from a different time on the planet to where you see the quote unquote progress. Now, what would you say? Because this is one thing that was in my mind. Because your classic like orcs, like say in like Warhammer, are just like brutes. They don't. Even Warhammer 40k, they don't really think they process. They're just almost like monsters. And I mean, it's kind of a lore question. It's like, is this a good thing? Like trying to modernize them within the story. What do you think, Jeremy?
I mean, they adapted. That's the thing. It's all about the planet's circumstances. So in their planet, they found that it was easier to become industrial, and through that industrialization, improve their technology, improve their resources. So they're just doing this for survival. So in a way, it's still like base level instinct, but that base level instinct evolved into something more technologically advanced, and that's why they now have these chain axes and things like that. They grew them out of the necessity of survival.
Derek, I'll say that the uniforms, they're dressed in uniform. I'll tell you what, just in Grut fashion, they probably stole the uniforms from a marching band. I'm just that's we can put that in the lore. They needed uniforms, so it's like, okay, wait, there's a marching band. Okay, should we kill them? Let's draw lots. We're definitely taking the uniforms, but we'll draw lots whether or not we're going to kill them.
I think the idea is that they're using the steampunk aesthetic. If you're familiar with steampunk, so
yeah, for sure. No, it's an interesting look, and it was. I mean, a lot of people were talking about it when we saw them during Gen Con. It's like, oh, those are orcs, very modernized, and the chain axes are very interesting. But how about we get into the card then? Let's read through this because it's got some words. Okay, Valorek, Chain Gruts, Orc, Common Squad. Means you can use a lot of them. Enforcer, Brutal, Medium 4. Life 1, move of 5, range of 1, attack of 2, defense of 3, 75 points. And we have Guild Boss Bonding. Before taking a turn with Chain Gruts, you may first take a turn with a champion you control who is an orc or who follows Valorek. Chain Axes. After rolling attack dice, before defense dice are rolled, you may re-roll one die that did not roll a skull. Strong Arm. Figures engaged with one or more Chain Gruts cannot make leave and engagement attacks against figures that are not Chain Gruts. Okay, I gotta read that again. Figures engaged with one or more Chain Gruts, okay, cannot make leaving engagement attacks against figures that are not Chain. Okay, you're gonna have to explain this to me, Ken. What?
Oh yeah.
Read it
so
twice.
If a Knight of Weston is engaged, let's say with Kane, okay, and he's engaged with 2 Chain Gruts, the Kane can disengage from the Knight of Weston.
Okay. They can't or
Does that
can?
make sense?
No. Okay.
He can. Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 Chain Gruts, or I guess one Chain Grut engaged with Kane. I mean with a Knight, and the Knight's also engaged with Kane. Kane can just skedaddle. He doesn't have to stay there. There's no LEAs or anything like that. So that's what.
Okay,
that's
any. I mean, okay, I think I'm starting to understand. So, you have Chain Gruts and you have other like heroes or squads in your army.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Kane bonds with the Chain Gruts. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so it can be anything in your army besides the chain grets, though. Correct? Is that
Correct.
is
The
that,
chain, the chain grets do not give each other disengage. They
right?
give
Right.
the other guys disengage. Yes.
That okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now I
Yep.
get it. All right. That's
Yep. Yep. Yep.
that. You know,
Yep.
I don't think I've seen that before. So that's an interesting way of playing.
You have not seen that before, no.
Yeah.
So.
So what else do you think? Because I know you kind of been champing at the bit a little bit for these.
This is by far my favorite from this wave. To attack with chain axes is more like 3 attack. It's more like +1 dice, but -1 max skull. So just to speed up time, you would roll 3 dice, and then what the most you can get is 2 skulls instead of rolling 2. Reroll 2, reroll 2, reroll. That's going to add a lot of time, and you know what that means? You're not playing faster. And then the guild boss bonding is, it has a lot of fascinating things going for it. Like in contemporary, you've got Tuck, you've got Decker, you got the blimp, but that doesn't matter. You got Kane, and now you got the Ramasaur Rider, who's actually great for 35 points. But then if you open it up to all time, you have Nirak.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to use Nirak, right?
Sure.
But you also have Grimnak. But what's fascinating is Grimnak chomps, right? But these guys aren't orc warriors, so they're not going to get his bonus plus attack and defense. So Kane fills a similar role in terms of his stomp. You have to roll an 8 or higher.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is, I guess these guys can give Grimnak disengage as well. But these guys can give Kane disengage too, so that he can keep trying to restomp people like he's not stuck in one place.
So what you're telling me is Imperator Kane is now valuable?
I would say I think the best contemporary army. Well, right now I think it's the Galrai, but I think when this wave comes out, I think 5 chain grets, Tuck and Decker are going to be really hard to beat.
Okay.
I feel like that's going to be, if not the best army, one of the better armies out there for sure. Obviously, that's figure limit. If you have 20, that's 22 figures. So if it's only a 16 figure limit, you can't do that. But then that's when you start using Kane or something like that.
Okay.
So I think these guys are phenomenal. I love melee bonding. I love orcs. I think in all time heavies are still better because they're 5 points cheaper. But these guys are phenomenal. So I would encourage, like, if you want to, but melee bonding is really great because you put all your order markers on the chain grets, so you don't have to think that hard about that part of the game. So you have to think about like your movement and other strategic things. But as far as order markers, you're like, all right, I can handle this. You get a little bit of reprieve as opposed to the guy with 14 army cards across from you, and you're like, good luck, buddy. So
yeah, it definitely helps with people who appreciate bonding synergies in this way, the direct bonding synergies that you can get, especially with orcs. Who doesn't like an orc army? It's one of the easiest armies to play in Heroscape. So especially people coming in to the game and wants to play in a tournament and yet have an army that can do some damage and give you potential to win in advance within whatever tournament you're in. I'd say Gruts are definitely a good choice. So it's great to have an addition for these in. Jeremy, what do you think of these guys?
Oh, they're pretty good. I like the guild boss bonding too. How you're going to be able to, that's one of those missing synergies that people have been asking for. Because we kept getting these board champions, and there was an expectation of some sort of bonding. Now here it is, we got it. So you're going to want to be able to use that with those heroes. And I like the idea of being able to do repeated stomps, because now with strong arm you don't have to worry about Kane leaving engagement. So that's a really good thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
But
For sure.
yeah, they're pretty solid common squad, and I think them with the Ramasaur Rider will be pretty good options.
And hey, Brendan Nichols there in the chat. I really, and there's 4 of them too. So it's like whenever, so that's the potential for 5+ attacks for that turn, if I'm calculating that right. Depending what hero you're activating to take a turn first, whatever champion you're using. So there's that potential too. So high attack value. You get to reroll dice, in which you got to play faster. So that's But I people are complaining about that. That's one thing when it comes to like the dice reroll. I understand it might take a few more seconds of time, but for me, it's not as big of a deal as what some people are kind of complaining about when it comes to that aspect. It doesn't bother me too much.
I think like on Dorum nobody cares because he's one figure. But when you have chain gruts that you're doing it 4 times every turn, it's just going to add up. If that makes sense.
Well, imagine doing chain gruts and then you're playing against an army that has acolytes.
Oh yeah.
There you go. There you go. Then at that point, everybody's like, you know what? Let's order some pizza. It's going to be a while. So
just wait till ScapeCon. There's that's because who knows? I might use like a army with an acolyte or two in it just because.
Acolytes are surprisingly decent.
I got bested by a lot of my losses at Gen Con was because they were using acolytes, and I got bested by them because of those rerolls. It was just that.
Because you don't want to waste your attack on the acolyte because he's just going to come back. But sometimes it's like, yeah, it's a fascinating. But like on turn one. But on turn one, you probably want to kill him because that gives you 2 more turns or 2 more order markers where he's dead, right? So.
But the thing is, if you're up against a skilled player, that they kill the acolyte right away themselves.
Sure,
yeah.
but I mean, like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, it's very interesting about like target ordering and whatnot for when it comes to acolytes. So anyway,
but we're talking about chain threats. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. I was gonna say I do like how Renegade is pushing a little bit about like even with the Galrai, just about like what we normally do is a little bit different now. I kind of like that we have to think a little bit differently. For sure.
And that should Heroscape should be an evolving network of units and builds to use. It should be just an endless amount of armies that you could think up of and synergize throughout this whole network of. Hopefully someday endless miniatures to use from. So I think quite possibly and I mean I think I'll close with this because we're talking about deeper things than we should be talking about tonight. But do you think one way to break the quote unquote meta is just to like expand so many units and synergies and just oversaturate everything to the point that it doesn't matter because there's so many armies that can be opposed to one another. You just got to be good at playing them. What do you think?
Talking about contemporary or like all time?
Yes.
Okay. It's hard because when people start talking about power creep, when you start like doing all time, and the problem is the more units you have, the more backdoors you have to watch for. Like you have to make sure that like maybe Destro is not a human champion, so he doesn't bond with the Knights of Weston, right? But in I guess he would, depending on what, I guess G.I. Joe's, because Frostclaw's only bond with Jandar's Jandar, right? What do Frostclaws bond with? Large.
I think Jandar.
Yeah.
If only there was this website that there's a guy named Chris Perkins.
Who you just talked to, I think, not too long ago.
I did. Before taking Jandar, they call it Jandar Champion Bonding. So the workaround, let's say Destro was too powerful for that. Well, the workaround is you make Destro like Einar or something, right? So part of that is like you have to just make Jandar, just for everybody. I know Destro's not a human champion. Please do not put that in the comments. But the problem is like once you open the door to all time, you got to watch all these little back doors about like not trying to break figures or whatnot. So, so I don't know if spamming more and more units is the right answer because I feel like you have to be super careful about just watching some hidden synergies sometimes, and hopefully like the play testing that the developers do and. Like I know Adam and Don are part of like they contract with them, and then I know they have a group of play testers that help with all that stuff too. So hopefully like they're able to catch all that stuff, but I still think like it just opens up that possibility that you have to be really careful. So that's why I think a lot of units that come out, they want to try to shoot for like for lack of a better term, a B range as opposed to like an A range, like an A tier or a B tier, because they don't want that necessarily to happen. But I think like right now, since contemporary is so small, like we just
Mhm.
added commons for the first time at Gen Con, and really acolytes don't really count as commons because you really don't want one, maybe two of those at the
Yeah,
most, right?
yeah,
So
that's it.
and so you've got Tanukis and crabs, and the Tanukis won, and because it's like, oh, the Tanukis were better than I thought they would be, but now we have Gelrai, and I think like
Mhm.
the Gelrai are like now I'm in charge, I'm the boss now, right?
For sure.
But like I also think the great bows have a decent shot with in maybe like smaller figure limits because the Gallery really want to max out that start zone.
Mhm.
So I think in Heroscape, so I don't know the best way I think to answer this is if you're afraid of seeing the same stuff over and over again, I think formats solve most of those problems. Like
Sure.
if you're tired of Gallery, 16 figure limit, that solves that problem, right? If you're if you're tired of I don't know great bows or Queen Malajex and you say no more than 250 points of large or huge figures. So like I think there's ways to manipulate that and make that so that the meta is always ever changing.
Mm.
In a straight cheese environment, I think it's hard to necessarily break into that without getting too much power creep. So I think like Q9 Rats and Raylan is always going to be good unless I don't know. They come up with a 20-point figure that really is like plus 12 against major Q9 attack dice. You know what I mean? And he has Ghost Walk. Like I don't, you know what I mean? But then like everybody's bringing that figure in their army now for the last 20 points of their army because they don't want to fight Q9. Like so, it's an interesting balancing act. So
Yeah,
I don't really know if I answered your question.
No, it's interesting discussion, and I don't even know if there is really a solid answer for it. But when it comes to like say Gallery v Chain Gruts, do you think that's a good matchup? Depending on how the armies are shaped.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like Gallery versus Chain Gruts in the 500 point 24 figures. I feel like that's a decent matchup. I think it's I would say slight. I don't know, slight. I think the Chain Gruts are better, but I feel like a good Gallery player could win that.
Okay. Well, it's cool. It'll be interesting to see what happens come ScapeCon and Gen Con next year. So that's taking a look at the Chain Gruts. Yeah, very, very, very nice. Very nice unit. Very nice card. All right. Now, let's move on to the Chain Gruts counter. Is it counterpart or... it's in the same box. Let's just put it that way. Ramosaur Rider. There he is. I like the mustache too. That's very that's very how would I put would it be 1800s? I think 1800s. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just reminds me something like that. Or World War One. It just reminds me of like because with the cutlass and everything, especially like early World War One where they were still charging with the horses and stuff at the very beginning. Only with it, we have a dinosaur with headbutts here. All right, let's read the lore here. Salak clenches his fists, slowly, deliberately. His eyes never leave his opponent on the far side of the ring. This is the fight of his life. If he lets his guard down for even a second, it could be his last. On Grut, officer status is not taught nor inherited. It is not earned through time served. It must be won. Brutality and relentless aggression are prized above all else in an orc soldier. Okay, now that reminds me of orcs, so that's good. Those who embody these traits in battle, whose ferocity strikes fear into enemies and inspires their comrades, may vie for the chance to wear a rank of leadership. But first, they must pass one final trial. A tradition as old as war itself. They must best and ride a mount. The sun glints off the smooth rock-like dome of the dinosaur across from Salak. The beast paws the dirt and postures in warning, eyes narrowing as they lock onto the orc. Salak readies himself. He knows what comes next. With a guttural screech, the Ramosaur lowers its head and charges. Even in this age of machines, these beasts are feared. The thickest metal plating crumbles under the crushing power of a full-grown Ramosaur. Orc bones don't stand a chance. At the last second, just when it seems Salak's career will end before it has begun, he dodges, sweeping his leg and landing a blow. It barely leaves a mark, but is enough to knock the creature off balance. He seizes the moment, wrapping an arm around Ramosaur's neck and swinging onto its back. Now he holds on with everything he has. No amount of buckling or thrashing will take this from him. He has earned the place in the Ramosaur cavalry. He has fought for the right to be called a rider. Perhaps one day his likeness will stand in bronze beside the champions of old. So there he is. There is. We got ourselves another dinosaur. So now this kind of like takes my question about like the previous orc lore that I was telling you, Jeremy. And now I kind of like, okay, we have the balance of even though the orcs are like you say quote unquote civilized, there's still that part of them that very rough exterior and interior part of them that shows in this bit of lore. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's I think the idea is that these orcs didn't get to where they were without a little bit of brutal strength, because they have to have that in order to tame something like a dinosaur, because their original versions had T-Rex and the Velociraptor, so now we're sitting here with the Ramosaur, which is a very, very tough opponent. So I think they have to have, or at least match that aggression in order to get where they need to be.
Absolutely, I think so. Yeah, and it's a nice little backstory, even though this is, I believe it's a common hero. This individual is like given a name, Salak, and a little bit of history on how we acquired this Ramosaur. So if you have like a whole, if you want a whole cavalry of these guys, I don't know, we'll read into the card in a second to see if you need more than one. You probably do. It might be cool to like have like a unique one, like again with all commons. You can paint all these a bit differently and have fun when it comes to the painting part if you got time painting, and really make uniqueness in your squads. So let's take a look at the Ramosaur Rider from Valorek. Orc, common hero, champion, wild, large 6. Got a life of 3, move of 7, range of 1, attack of 2, defense of 4 at 35 points. Just that alone. 35 point limit for those stats. That's not too shabby. Okay, and we got see our special abilities. First, Assault 1. When attacking with a Ramosaur Rider, if the defending figure was not adjacent to that Ramosaur Rider at the start of the turn, that Ramosaur Rider rolls an additional attack die. So there's an additional abuse. There is an additional. What was I meant to say? I don't know. I totally brain farted myself.
Additional attack.
Yeah, additional attack dice. That I think that's what I meant to say. Yeah, additional attack dice right away. So that turns that attack to 2 to attack to 3. Well, we also got Headbutt. After a Ramosaur Rider makes a normal attack, if there was an equal number of shields in the defense roll as skulls in the attack roll, Ramosaur Rider and the defender must each take 1 wound. Okay, I need this explained to me a little bit more. Oh, yeah, people are laughing at me now. Okay, so if you roll like
if skulls equal shields,
okay,
you still deal damage.
So you still deal damage, but you get damage to yourself as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I roll 2 skulls, you roll 2 shields, we both take a damage.
Is that beneficial, Ken? What do you think about this guy?
I mean, against like high defense figures, sure. Like, would you love to attack Q9 and then, because you're going to get 3 dice for the first attack, would you like to attack Q9 with a 35-point figure and deal a wound? I feel like the answer is yes.
But then you got to take a wound yourself, though.
Sure, but he's 35 points, right?
Your
wound is 10. Your wound is 11 in a math is hard. 11 in a something point. 11 in 0.6 points. I don't know.
Sure.
And Q9's wound is 45. That feels like a good trade, right?
Yeah.
But then the first assault kind of works with the pseudo disengage that the Gruts give, right? So he can disengage, go ram somebody again, disengage, go ram somebody again. So, but yeah, no, for 35 points, this guy's good. He's good. Like, 5 squads of 5 squads of chain gruts and 4 Ramessar riders. I'm not sure what
There
that
you go.
would point wise that'd be. I guess that's only 140, so you still got plenty of points to add a little bit more, but you've got the figures. But yeah, I feel like he's still good. Like, I mean, even though you got Tuck Decker and Kane and Contemporary, and then even like if you're playing all time and you've got like 35 points left after you have Nirek and maybe Grimneck in there, I think you throw this guy in because he would also get the defense bonus from Nirek.
It's a miniature that just charges in. Agreed. I had a question, but I lost it. Jeremy, what do you think about like a common heroes? Would you, and I can throw this to Ken too. Like, would you want just one of them, or like up to 4 of them? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm thinking like 2 or 3, maybe with that format, because the first assaults, you're going to want to have these leading, and so you'll probably want to bond with the chain gruts, because that'll give them a chance to get that first assault off. But yeah, I don't know. I see like 2 or 3.
Yeah, and Ken, it's like the convenient thing too with having like a rider and then chain gruts is no matter how many squads or units you're using, just 2 cards. You're just using 2 cards, for this. So
you put them all in the chain grit.
Yeah, and that's the convenient thing with it. Now, but that being said, there are like other units coming in that can possibly affect the fact that someone has all their order markers on their card. Correct? I'm thinking of like Scarlet, like we were talking about like Scarlet last week.
I think Scarlet moves around her own guys' order markers, but it's like the Baroness. The Baroness, I think, can move stuff around. Okay. I think Dragoon can move stuff around, right? And then everybody's favorite Agent Carr can remove order marker. So, but the Baroness, I'm just saying.
But if I remember correctly, Baroness is more of a G.I. Joe centric character. She couldn't really go with anybody.
Well, but she has a false order 16, which I think is similar to the Dragoon's chittering, maddening chitter or whatever it's called. Chittering madness. I don't remember. At the end of her turn, you may choose an enemy figure within 6 clear sight spaces. Roll a 20. If you roll 16 or higher, look at an order marker on the figure's army card, and you may move that to an army card of another that player's figure, which is in 6 spaces. So if she can move all those order markers to the Ramessar rider, well, she can move 1 order marker.
Okay. So it's not really going to stop them too much, then.
Well, I mean, not using 4 chain grunt, using 1 Ramessar rider is not near as good, right? So,
for sure, but it depends on whether or not that's the army you bring too. So
sure.
I think the interesting thing is actually trying to find a good counter army, which I mean it's probably Gellery, but like any other counter army to these orcs. I
also think some other things in this wave give the orc can put a fight up with the orc as well. Okay. So,
well, I really like this because I mean it's you get a box with these and right away you have a playable army to use because they go together. They play well together. So even if you got nothing else, you're ready to go if you get just a few boxes of these things, which is pretty cool. And so Ramessar Rider for 35 points. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of value for points in this. Do you think, or I'll ask the chat, and whenever I edit a video, because I know Ken's not great for Delta, because I did listen to your podcast last. But anybody thinks like, do you think this is a unit that might go up in Delta in the future because of its value, or not? Let me know in the comment below when you see this individual video. But yeah, I really like what they're doing with the orcs, steampunk looking, creatures that still can pack a punch. So yeah, and that's taking a look at Ramasaur Rider there. Nice. All right, and let me catch up with the chat here real quick before we move on. Like some people saying, and yes, I glanced at the chat while we're talking. Mammoth and Penguin, yes. Yes for both. I'd say because I think Justin was saying Mammoth. I think Premium Escape was saying Penguin. Yeah, that will be a fun day when they just like, okay, we're releasing a penguin because we got plenty of animals in this. So yeah, well, we might do. Yeah, well, we're not going to do a Delta debate now, Derek. So. But yeah, Machine Gun Penguin, I'm so totally for. Even if like a Mammoth mini was like the entire, like as big as the blimp, that would be so fun to have a Mammoth, a Grut, Hero. I don't know how that would work, but that would be tons of fun. Absolutely. But here, let me get back to. All right. So more Gathering Storm. So we get into. Okay, I guess we were talking about Vipers last, but Elites of Alar. Let's do this. All right, so they got another box. This is a pretty small wave that they announced for this one out of the bunch, but very stoic looking. These Kiri. Elites of Alar. And let's see what mantra they say. What's in their lore? We flee no fight. The pact propels us. We feel no pain. The pact protects us. We fear no death. The pact preserves us. Mantra from the Elites of Ular. As Milky's spear stills one final orc, the flesh of Ciara's shoulder begins to knit back together. Only now that the battle is won does the pain of her many wounds begin to take hold. She stumbles just slightly, steadying herself against one of her war sisters as they revel in their victory. Pain is a weakness. It slows and it hobbles, leading to missteps in the dance of battle. Elites, sworn blades of Ular, can afford no such weakness. So, by way of trances, magics, and sheer force of will, they defer the pain. When the battle is done, they will have time enough to hurt, or no time left at all. The tribes of Ekstrom know much of fighting, for they warred among themselves for untold generations. When the Archkyrie Ular, or Ular, rose to power, he did so not by force or by guile, but by forging a pact that bound all tribes together toward one singular purpose: to stand against any who would name Ekstrom their enemy. Ciara's grandparents would have laughed at the idea of Sayland, Atlaga, Milky, and Ziamara fighting side by side, but her grandparents were killed in one of those tribal squabbles. So Ciara fights on in their name, for a better future, for Ekstrom, for Ular, for the Pact. So Jeremy, when it comes to this lore, it's kind of cool that we actually get a name of, because this is a common, usually squads, especially like commons, they're not given names, they're not given any individuality. So it's kind of cool that you get one of them that actually has a name and a little bit of stated purpose here. What do you think about this?
That was pretty good. If I recall, Dylan wrote this one, and it was a really good highlight on the desperation that was going on in Ular's homeland. So we got to read a little bit about it in the previous bio, but now there's more details that the tribes of Ekstrom were at war with each other before they became bound through Ular's attempt. When Ular became Archkyrie, he made sure that all that past wars, past fighting was over. So this is a good snapshot onto that and what's going on here. That connection is stronger now. Now that since they're all unified under Ular, they're working together now. But that is something they would never thought would have happened. So Yeah, I really like the snapshot they provide here.
Yeah, the like right here, the tri-blade
Mm-hmm.
part of them, and they're flying. They're not using their legs. They're just flying around in the picture. So you get to see a little bit more of the Curie and how they think, how they operate. At least this part of Valhalla,
Yep.
what they think. Uh, and yeah, it's cool to see like names that in like early lore, like Ekstrom, has been mentioned in the past, which is on the map. If you see, like, I got a map behind me, it's up there. That's where Arla resides. Now, I don't know if you can answer this, Jeremy, but and I haven't read up on on this month's scenario, but like, all we know, Ular is going mad from being like someone's poisoned the water hole, type moment, to where
Yeah.
he's going mad, and we don't have any resolution for that yet. We know Utgar's been cast down, but as far as everyone else who's been poisoned, there hasn't been any resolution in that story.
Right.
So is that type of and we're getting a little lore heavy, guys. We'll get to the unit in a second. Is that type of splintering that once happened in the past, since Uller is now kind of like not all there? Is there splintering going on, or are they still remaining unified?
So
How much can you
Miyoki
say?
and Shiamara. Yeah, Miyoki and Shiamara are trying to keep everything together, because if you read in their bios, they know that Ular got poisoned, so now they have to take charge.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of how that's been playing out, especially in like with the Crackling bio. They sent Tamin to go find something to help protect the borders because things are getting rough now. But yeah, Ular is not in control of his own mind because he's poisoned. So his leaders have to take charge while he's still trying to figure out the cure there. So, and he even kicked Sonlin out. Sonlin's on his own trying to figure out the cure. So there's a lot of like small little details that get built into the story. But as far as we know, Ular's still poisoned. So
Okay. All right. It's good to know. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's get into the card, because I think we've got some people questions in the chat for Ken. All right. So Uller, elites of Uller. Now, this goes without saying, like, will we eventually get elites of like Jandar? Will we get elites of Einar? Will we get elite common squads from other Valkyrie generals? That's a question. But anyway, Kiri common squad, warrior, loyal, medium 5, life of 2, move of 4, range of 1, attack of 3, defense of 3, 105 points. And of course, I got flying. No need to explain that. Blade dance, unique Uller Kiri. You control, roll 1 additional die when attacking a figure engaged with 1 or more of your elites of Uller and Uller's Pact. If an elite of Uller receives a wound from a normal attack by an enemy figure, after that attack you may move 1 unengaged Kiri figure you control who follows Uller up to 4 spaces, even if all your elites of Uller are destroyed. Now, why does that sound familiar? I feel like I've read that before. I think that was with another. Was that with a GI Joe unit? Is that where I'm like familiarizing that myself from?
The
Uller's Pact.
You're talking about the green shirts. Ular's Pact? No, that's
because I thought I don't know. Something sounded familiar.
Renegade is doing a lot more like free movement abilities on lots of different cards, so you might have seen something similar.
Yeah, probably. So Ken, what do you think of these? And I think
it's a great question.
Just one more. Dan had a question.
Sure.
It says, I'm curious if they're too conditional with order market placement, or if they are a good army in contemporary. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've talked about these a few times. I think this is a finesse army, because I feel like, I mean, obviously the army's 3 of these guys, ZMR and Milky, right? And then ZMR keeps the elites alive by canceling damage, and then Milky heals them. So I think this is more of a finesse army of when to put that order marker on Milky, because Ziamara will move herself, or Ular's pact will move Ziamara, so she'll keep up on her own. But Miyoki will need those order markers on occasion to heal, and I think her base attack is 4, if I recall right. So, and she's a flying character, and she has a double attack. So the chances of her killing something, I mean, and getting height because she's flying is pretty good. So 2 attacks of 5 will often kill something. So that being able to heal people is actually really good. She can't heal herself. But the other thing to think about is Ziamara also works on Miyoki. So if they focus on Miyoki, that could be lots of different attacks because Ziamara could be using that amulet to keep her alive. So I think this is a finesse army. I often compare it to the Goblin Cutters and the Hornskull Brutes. Okay. I think that's a very finesse army about when to put order markers on the Brutes versus the Cutters. And I feel like this has a little, and there's a little bit of movement with the Cutters and the movement with the Elites. So I compare those a little bit to each other.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so I think this is very finesse focused army. I think it's gonna lose the mass commons. 2-life common squad though, that's fascinating. We have not seen that yet.
Right.
So, and once again, I encourage everybody to find a way to keep their figures marked with their wounded or not instead of putting a little red token, because that's a little annoying. But like whether you buy those chips for Renegade or you just put like a little red rubber band on their character, like, or whatever, or if you want to color each one with the red, this is a red one, so he's red dye, blue, whatever you want to do. But I really encourage people to do that. But I think these guys will do well in like smaller figure limits. So like when we talked about like being able to change around, like in a 24 figure limit, these guys probably won't do super well, but like in a 12 to 12 figure limit, I could see these guys doing well. Because like I said, Miyoki hits really hard, and the fact that she can heal others, and then they give her +1 attack, right? If she's adjacent to them. So she could, so she can roll up to 6 dice against, like, you get a couple of elites engaged with Q9 backed up by Ziamara, and Miyoki comes in, attacks him twice for 6 if she's on height. That's not bad. It's going to take quite a bit of setup, right? Because you got to get through all those rats and whatever. But but once again, I feel like it definitely can be done well. I just think that like the format has to be. I don't think it's going to be any format. It has to be a fairly special format for them to do well, but I do think they can.
Okay, it's a lot of the synergy is very indirect. It's like there's no bonding synergy yet. They still like indirectly synergize with each other. You just gotta, like you say with finesse, you gotta like learn how to place your order markers and know what to play and when to play it. And that seems to be the other army code basically is like there's hardly any direct synergies. It's all just like a unique balance, or trying to keep a good balance of independent units with each other. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on these?
Hold on, I was sorry, Jeremy.
No, that's fine.
I was wrong. The Great Bows have 2 lives, so they're not the first common squad with 2 lives. So Derek corrected me. I did ask him how much a Necrotech Rider has life, because I believe he doesn't know.
All right.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
I think these characters are pretty good. Now with 105 points, you gotta be careful because it's not like you can draft a whole bunch of them. You can only draft a few. But yeah, they're definitely meant to boost that kind of synergy that existed in the Ular squad, the Ular Kyrie that we got. If you look at them, you're like, they're supposed to be working on something else, not just themselves. So that gives you a chance to kind of, I think it was Spear Sankari and all that. Try to see how that works. They definitely are made for that army, and specifically if you want to use those characters as those heroes, you're going to want to use these squad members to help boost them and give them a little bit more opportunity in the battlefield.
Yeah, especially for those who love Ular and who want, it's a great common squad to have for those types of builds. Now, would this squad work for any like Classicscape Ular minis, or is it just the stuff that Renegade's released? Do we know anything about that?
It should
You
should
mean
work
like
with Atlaga and Sayland as well.
Okay.
If you want to try them
right?
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's take a look at Elites of Ular. Very, 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 very nice. Very, very nice units. And you got the like the 3-bladed. What do you call those? I don't know what they are. Remind me, what's the type of thing you put over your knuckles? What's that called? That has no blades.
The brass knuckles.
Yeah, brass knuckles. It's kind of like a blade knuckle or something like that.
Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting. And I just like how their face is very solemn. Like they're neither happy nor sad. It's just they're just there to fight, and emotion is gone because they've been fighting for so long. So yeah, very interesting. All right, let us move on now. Technically, this would be the last in this wave. So depending on what we get through, so we might do an additional 1 or 2 in the next one too, just to get ahead of ourselves for when we stream next Wednesday. But let's do this one. Rannoch Vipers. Very, very. Just seeing these, I think these were some of the units that stood out the most at Gen Con, because it's like, oh, okay, more Vipers, and they're carrying guns. How cool is that? So let's read the lore here. Few tales from the battle of all time. I see a tales. I see the tales reference there. They couldn't exactly say Tales of Valhalla, I think then I would have been like, hey. But few tales from the battle of all time spread with as much fervor as the Alliance hard-fought victory at the Battle of... Jeremy, I had to do it once tonight. Say that again. Stetchavan, against overwhelming odds, and the forces of Jandar and Ular halted Utgar's brutal march toward Valgrind. A decisive force in this clash was Ular's Viper army, commanded by Sayland. Their speed and ferocity turned the tide, overwhelming Utgar's hordes pouring out of Bleakwood. What drives the Vipers to such martial greatness? Only the Valkyrie have glimpsed the crucible that forged these serpentine warriors. Born on Mar, a world defined by ceaseless conflict, the Vipers developed complex biological adaptations for survival. Long ago, the Raptorians enslaved them, but the rise of the Venok warlord marked their liberation. The Venok turned the talons of their former masters into weapons and symbols of defiance. When a Morrow hive rose from their swamps, the Rannoch clan struck, seeking also to follow this path to freedom. However, they were swiftly overwhelmed by this new threat. Seeing value in the Rannoch's fear-inducing instincts, the hive took them as captives, harvesting and enhancing their abilities through gene splicing. These stolen traits would become part of Meeburk Saw's arsenal, fueling his conquests. Yeah, I can tell this was written by Jeremy. I can so totally tell. But the Rannoch would not suffer enslavement again. Adapting the powers stolen from them by the hive, combined with guerrilla tactics of their Venok cousins, they fought back. Arming with plasma blasters recovered from fallen Morrow warriors, the Rannoch hacked Morrow biotech and staged a brutal escape. Ular, witnessing their final stand, intervened, pulling the Rannoch to Valhalla and reuniting them with the Venok and Aramak clans. Now the Rannoch Vipers strike fast and hard for their new lord, delivering vengeance with blaster fire and coordinated fury. They serve as the guardians of Ular's host, a living reminder to the Morrow that their stolen power has returned with a vengeance. Dude, you know how to write some good stuff, let me tell you. Even if I didn't know already that you had written this, it's like halfway through I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, Jeremy wrote this. I had to remind myself. So it's, it's so cool just to see different explanations of units and characters from previous escape in just these few paragraphs. There's a number. There's a few. And so, did you put that Tails in on purpose, like on the top there, or did you just like, oh, I'm just gonna put that there?
No, I didn't think about it like that. I was just
okay.
putting it there because the story of the war.
But explain a little bit your process here, because you did write this, correct?
Sure. Yes. So I wanted to focus specifically on the fact that this, Vipers is part of classic Escape, right? That when you think Heroscape, you think of some of the first things that came out, and Vipers was one of those very first concepts that were introduced super early in the game. And we got those in Wave 1. They mentioned in the Thorman's Journal multiple times, things like that. So I wanted to give new players a chance to kind of invest themselves into that reference, because it's not a new concept, right? These are Vipers from Wave 1. They're the same species as the ones in Wave 1, the same ones in this species as the ones in Wave 4. So I wanted to reference what was so important about the Vipers, like what exactly about them was so significant. And so two things came up. It was the fact that the Battle of Stetchevan, which is mentioned in Thorman's Journal, that is the one thing I wanted to reference. Be like, yeah, the Vipers helped stop Ukkar from taking over a city. Like, that's an actual thing that happened. And so I wanted to reference that. And then I also wanted to reference the Raptorians, because people may not have access to it anymore, but there was some old lore that existed on the very first website, right? And there's this little tab, tips and tricks tab, that you could click on it and it would give you like a kind of explanation on how to use the units. And the old dev team put these like little trivia points for each of these characters. Like, yeah, did you know the Raptorians controlled the Vipers at one point? And that's where they get their weapons from. And I always thought that was cool. But when they switched over to the second website, they got rid of that. It just poofed. There was no access to that original page. And the only way people remembered that was because of the lore compendium that was written years ago, and and referencing that. And so I finally was like, okay, now it's time to put the Raptorians in actual lore, to make them canon, because it was, everybody remembered this. Everyone had memory of the Raptorians, right? There's Raptorians in the C3V. That's where it comes from. But it's like, it was never mentioned in an official bio. Now it finally is. So I was like, I gotta do it. I have to mention the Raptorians at least once, because everyone knows about them, but no one knows where. And so that was my thought process: is what can I do to make these characters, accessible to new players, but still help people remember. Yeah, these are Vipers. These are OG Scape. This concept comes from the original Scape line. So
Viper Cobras. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very well done. It's amazing how you can tell like a person's writing style. Like I said, halfway through, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I already knew it, but I'm just like, wait, okay, yeah, I remind myself. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is Jeremy writing this. And I like, seeing the background of like Raptorians are mentioned. How what set of Vipers was it that got their claws?
The Venok.
Yeah, Venok Vipers, and you see the Venok Warlord mentioned in there as well, so you get a little backstory on them. You get a few backstories in one, basically, here. And then Meebark Saw, you get a little bit of backstory on that.
The Meebark Saw one, yeah. Meebark Saw option was really cool, because that was a designer concept. They said, hey, Meebark Saw's power of paralyzing stale comes from the Viper's hypnosis. That's what they told me. And I was like, that's really cool, because that's basically what the Mario have always been. Sure. That all their powers and stuff are taken. They're gene splicers, so they take stuff from species around them and then modify it or adapt it to their means. So when they mentioned that, I was like, oh, definitely gonna have to put that in the story.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people, well, now more people watch this will understand that the Morrow and the Vipers, they kind of have a hate relationship basically with each other. They have been warring against each other for a long time on Mar. And I don't think many people realize that. So, especially people just entering the Heroscape now they know. Now they get to know a little bit more about that. Thanks to you, sir. So it's great that you're able to write that. All right, let's get into the card. Renegade Vipers. So Ular, of course. Viper, Common Squad, Hunter, Tricky, Medium 5, Life of 1, Move of 7, Range of 6, Attack of 2, Defense of 0. 50 points. They have Hypnosis. When a Renegade Viper attacks an adjacent figure, the defender reduces its defense value by 1 for each skull in the attacking Viper's roll. Hypnosis does not affect destructible objects. Evasive 2. Renegade Vipers increase their defense value by 2 when defending against a non-adjacent figure. Slither. Renegade Vipers do not have to stop their movement when entering water spaces. There you go. Always got to do the slither. So Ken, what are your thoughts on these Cobra type guys?
Well, the first thing you note is they're not scouts, so no +2 movement from good old Warlord. I think they're really good for 50 points. I mean, you can spam these. You can round your armory out with these guys. 7 move is fantastic. 6 range is good. 2 attack. A lot of times with 7 move, you're going to be on height, right? And then they have a little, then they're getting shot at, and maybe they have 2 or 3 defense, depending if they're on height. Once they get engaged, they're going to die when they get attacked. But when they attack, it's actually fascinating because in some ways, like Death Knights give a -2 defense, right? And they roll 2 attack dice. Well, if these guys are on height and they roll 3 attack dice, it's -3 defense if all 3 of those are skulls. So sometimes these guys are going to spike really hard when they attack, and they're going to get some brutal kills. Like if you spike that on, let's say, a hero or something, like the hero is going to fall pretty fast.
Sure.
So, So I think they look way better than they look a little bit better than they're a little bit better than they look on paper. But yes, when they get attacked in melee, they're just going to fold, right? So I feel like you want to shoot with them, keep at range, but when you got to run in and hit something, you can, and especially if there's a priority target. 50 points for 3 figures is not bad. Like you could sacrifice that if you need to try and get a heightened attack on, say, Sir Gilbert or something, and try and roll.
Pretty darn
like I said,
good
if you get 3 skulls, right, and then if you get 3 skulls on Sir Gilbert, he gets 1 defense dice. That's pretty good, right? So, and they could, they could trade with knights, but like, I could really see this on an initiative switch too. You run in, get some good attacks, grab the initiative, you get a swing again, because once again, if you're getting attacked in melee with these guys, they're going to fall pretty fast. So I really like these guys. I think they got decent potential. I mean, I could see them. Are they better than Stingers? I don't like Stingers, so I think Stingers are horrible. So obviously they're better than Stingers. But they got more range. They have more movement. Like so they're cheaper than Stingers. So but Stingers won't fold in melee like these guys will. But yeah, so I could see these guys rounding out armies. You got 150 points left. Hey, it takes 3 squads of Raniks.
Yeah.
Now you have a range piece for your army all of a sudden.
No, totally agree. And I mean, you add that range. Like, say if you win initiative, first round, and you got 3 squads of these guys. You just take a squad out. That's that you're potentially attacking like Order Marker 1 for these, because that's what how many spaces total? That's 13. Yeah. You just send a squad up right away and just start firing away at your opponent in their start zone, practically. So yeah, that's something to really think about with these guys. And yeah, definitely offensive. You're not working on the defensive on these guys, even though they can kind of defend against ranged, which is good. So yeah, I think so too. Jeremy, what do you think of them?
I love how it's funny that they have defensive 0, because that's a callback to original Vipers, because it's the same. You want to swarm with them. That's how they do that. You get a bulk of them to join your army, so that way you're not taking too many losses. But yeah, it's interesting that they do have that hypnosis power, so it gives you kind of like an edge on a first melee strike. So if you're taking your time and you're planning it right, you keep them shooting, and then if the door opens, boom, go use hypnosis, get that hit in there, and then it's like that first hit. It's very, very important, because that's what you want them for, is for first strikes. But I think that if you can't dwell on them too long with melee. Like once they hit melee, that's it. You gotta leave it. They get hit and damaged. But yeah, it's a really good effective screen shooting option where they're moving up and they're shooting. And they get to hold that ground there, and then I think that's your best bet really is just keep them shooting until you're able to get a good melee hit in there.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of synergies, or not synergies, but what like what units otherwise would probably go good with them? You think?
Ooh.
That's what I'm trying to think. Are they good just themselves, or what would you want to complete them in their army? Because imagine you would need an army that was like you'd have to have a lot of units with them, like greater numbers.
Yeah, I mean, like in contemporary, I could see like 7 squad of these guys on Swoop Raylan or Q11 or something like that. But I also see them as like a range component of, say, what else we got coming out?
There's so much.
Well, no, that'd be too many figures. I was thinking like you could do a range component for crabs, but that your start zone's going to get decimated. Your start zone's going to be ate up real fast.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I love crabs. But no.
But even like I don't know, Queen Malajex and Festering Honor Guard and 3 squads of these. I mean, the Great Bow Archers, Great Bow Archers are kind of fighting for a similar spot. But maybe you have 150 points left, and that's either like 1 archer and 70 other points, or 3 squads of these guys, right? So I feel like you would lean to 3 squads of these guys as opposed to 80 points and a 70-point filler or whatever. So,
good point. What do you think, Jeremy? How do you think you would play them?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, looking at like maybe 4 squads of them as like if I needed like a common squad rounder or something like that, something cheap and easy to fill the armies out. I don't know, because I'm thinking about like 4 or 5 squads of them would be just enough to get that initial wave going forward, so I can get those shots in and things like that. But I'm not sure what I would pair with them.
I think Raylan, matching them with like Raylan 4.0 would be an interesting thing to test out. I think
she could jump in and get those hits if anyone hits them.
Exactly. That might be interesting, but yeah, this wave just seems like a good wave with very, very good high potential units. So, and Renegade Vipers with good lore, definitely a good exception to that rule. So that's taking a look at Renegade Vipers. Yeah, all right. Very nice, very nice. Well, guys, guess what? That is the wave. How are we for time? Do you guys think we could go for another 15 minutes? Maybe look at just another unit at Thorman's Thunder? You want to do that?
Yeah, we could do.
I don't know.
Agent Car.
We could do Agent Car. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's do Agent Car to finish up. That way we can just dive into the Thorman's Thunder wave next Wednesday, and I don't have to worry about doing that. So let's do that a second. Okay, Agent Car. Agent Car. To wrap up tonight's stream, we're gonna end with Agent Car. Still got the sword. All right, let's read the lore. In the perilous New York City of 2210 AD, Agent Carr was an elite covert operative known for being impossible to catch off guard, until he returned home one night to find the Twilight Clan waiting. Moments before the ninja Isamu would have killed him, Carr was summoned to Valhalla by the Valkyrie Vidar and given a new mission: to spy on the other Valkyrie as cosmic war began to unfold. A war that would one day bring him face to face with Isamu again and again and again and again. This Isamu never leaves the field. Their rematch came in the depths of Utgard's stronghold. Isamu, cloaked in crimson, vanished and reappeared like a phantom, his blade flashing closer and closer, but Carr anticipated the strike. He drove his own sword into Isamu's chest, delivering the Twilight Clan's leader's final reckoning. Or so he thought. Since then, Carr has felt haunted by a shadow in his peripheral vision, a flicker of red seen through the chaos of a raging battlefield. His partner, Doomed, how do you say that, Jeremy?
As the Nolandian.
Nolandian hunting hound with an unmatched psychic senses detects nothing. Even so, Carr remains more cautious than ever. He visits Queen Carrion's camp to file his reports and receive new assignments. Lately, locating Revna's newest nest and monitoring Sonlen's attempt to cure the wellspring poison, Carrion took up Vidar's banner and welcomed his followers. Though Carr knows the truth, Vidar never asked her to lead. Ooh, intrigue. Each night, Carr activates his datacaster and transmits Carrion's doings to the elusive crew of Heimdall Station. So far, they have allowed her efforts to rebuild Anun to continue. If even part of Vidar's final cryptic message is true, the Valkyrie is busy pursuing a far more urgent mission. Ooh, I like this. After all, there will be no Anund to save if there is no Valhalla. Okay, Jeremy, there's a lot in this, and that kind of like hints at what's going to be happening probably next year. This gives us, I'd say, a little bit what's going on presently. Like they're still trying to figure out a cure for poison. Vidar seems like Vidar like has his faculties, and his capacity. He's up to something. You have that link between rebuilding Anun, but also Heimdall Station, which is the space station that's orbiting Valhalla. And it seems like Carr is in the know for this. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, though, is Isamu. So Isamu, I guess now in the lore, Carr kills him in battle. That's interesting. Anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's really fun to be able to tie that little story bit together, because for those that remember the old cartoon or the commercial that went live, everyone thinks that Agent Carr was going to be killed by a bar of chocolate, but that wasn't the case. Yeah, he was opening up a thing of chocolate in the cartoon, but you have to. And it's so funny because it's easy to miss, but you have to look really closely at the filing cabinet beside him for like 2 seconds. I want to say, I think it's even
frames.
less than that.
Yeah,
if you look really closely, there's a silhouette of red hiding behind the filing cabinet. So Agent Carr was targeted to be assassinated around that time frame, but Vidar saved him. It just so happened while he was opening up a bar of chocolate. So it's nice to kind of tie in that lore bit there. The word Twilight Clan as well. That also came from the same place as the Raptorians. It was the little tips and tricks sidebar that got removed from the main website. No one ever knows. These names remain with the fandom, but we never ever actually had them in the fandom until now, or in the canon until now. So it's nice to be able to tie those together.
Very nice. And so I'm hoping that someday, if Carr feels like Isamu is still alive, maybe we'll get an Isamu 2.0. That would be interesting. It's kind of hinting. I've noticed in some of these lore bits that there's like hints that like some of these we might see a reappearance of some other 2.0 characters, hopefully at other times in the future, which would be really cool. Here, Derek, when do we get a chocolate battle golem, and it has an ability where it instant kills Agent Carr if it becomes adjacent to him, and it bonds with this? Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot of going on. I'm pretty sure like a lot of this future stuff is things that you can't talk about at the moment, so I won't venture any further than that. But it's cool that there's a lot of interesting ties to Carr and what's going to end up happening in the future.
You just have to remember, it happened in Classicscape too. There's always references to something else, and so we retain that part of Classicscape and everything we write, and it's like referencing things and stuff like that because options are always available. So it's the battle of all time,
Absolutely. All right, let's look at the card. So we got Vidar, Agent Carr. Again, this is Agent Card 2.0 with Duned. Human, unique hero, agent, tricky, large 6, life of 5, move of 6, range of 6, attack of 2, defense of 4, 130 points. Crippling glance 15. Before moving normally, you may choose a figure within 3 clear sight spaces of Agent Car. Roll a 20-sided die. If you roll a 15 or higher, remove 1 unrevealed order marker at random from the chosen figure's army card. Sword of Reckoning. Number 4, add 4 to Agent Car's attack value, attacking an adjacent figure, and disengage. So Ken, I think of like a crippling glance as just being just something that you just do extra. I mean, it doesn't make or break the unit or the character. It's just like an added thing that you do if it happens, then cool. But I mean, you're not really counting on it in the game if you're using Agent Car, correct?
Right. I mean, if you're using Agent Car, I think you've already lost the game anyway. But that's a whole nother thing. I mean, this card is a meme, right? Was Agent Car good in OGscape, and was Duned? Not really. Put them together, not much better. I think it's cool that they did something like this. I'm sure a lot of the people have fun with it. Hey, it's Car and Dune, cool. But like as far as tournament goes, like I'm not. You're not going to see him, I don't think. So
is it better though the fact they're a large 6, so now they can't like be chomped?
Sure, yeah. I mean, Dune was already
bit.
large, probably 6 like that anyway. I mean, they kept sort of reckoning. They kept disengaged because obviously you can't. I mean, trying to have Ghost Walk on a double space figure is probably a little tricky. Crippling glance 15. I mean, it's only revealed. It only takes care of 1 order marker, and I think Dune took out all the order markers, if I recall. I mean, I think I played Dune like twice in my life. So, remove all order markers. So, this only removes 1. So, I mean, it's not as crippling. See what I did there? Anyway, it's not as crippling as the previous iteration of it, but like it's still not good. Is it fun? Sure. Is Heroscape about fun? Absolutely. So I just think that you're not going to see him in the tournament scene, but that doesn't mean like you can't have fun playing him or anything.
For sure.
Maybe he's in it. Maybe I'll get him in a good draft pool at some point down the road. I don't know. So we'll see.
It'd be fun because I think there's a little bit more bonding with other agents now that we have like I think don't we have some type of indirect or direct agent bonding with like
Baroness.
Renegades? Yeah.
Baroness would work with him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. There's a little bit of that, so we'll see. Jeremy, what do you think of this card?
Yeah, it's like combining 2 of these characters into one. It's really interesting, but 130 points is pretty pricey.
That is high.
So it's yeah, that'd be you'll have to think really hard about taking him into your army because it'll be like that's already about like a good third of what you would be able to spend in points in most tournament settings. So yeah, lots of thought will have to go into playing this character, making sure you're using order markers right, and you don't want to waste those points on an accident or something like that. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, losing 130 points is rough.
Yeah, well, and I think Derek's referring to this. But at least now, instead of debating whether or not you want to use Agent Car or Duned, either in your army, now you can just put both in. And there you go. Conflict resolved.
I mean, technically, you can use this card and you can still use Duned.
Very true.
Because this is just Agent Car. So there you go. 240 points of pure. I have no idea.
Well, it is a nice callback, but yeah, we'll see who would decide to use this. Maybe Scenario would probably be fun using it. I think for sure, like say like a Heroscape adventure, Joe Crazy's Heroscape adventure, this would be a lot of fun to use. So more for the fun aspect, maybe not less for the. Brennan says, but can you run all 3? Well, I guess we'll have to see. Let's take a look at Agent Car and Duned, and taking a look at this. So, all right, guys, I think now is time. We need to wrap. So let me unshare, and we will. As long as I'm not turning this off. Okay, there we are. All right, cool. And let me press some buttons down here, and we're still on. Okay. All right. So let's just shut down for tonight. So like a little more than halfway through now, getting through all these units. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, ToV podcast, this will be technically a part 2 because GI Joe, I'm just going to have on its own, being a part 1, and then Gathering Storm, Thorman's Thunder are going to be their own part 2 version of this podcast. So next Wednesday we record that. We'll match this one with this one, and that will be your audio podcast for taking a look at this. Just a bunch of Heroscape stuff. It's so overwhelming. But thank you guys so much for being with me tonight. Jeremy, if you want to give a shout out. Plug away on what you want to plug, sir.
All right. Well, as you know, it's me. I'm here to always talk lore. You can find out that kind of stuff on my side of the internet, known as the Eslam Collate, ESSLAIM. It's my platform where I talk about lore. I do it on Twitch. And I have some videos on YouTube. Some of that not very good at, but trying to get some stuff out there. But that's mainly it. Just glad to be here. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining me tonight. And Ken, I think you have like at least one thing to plug now, right? Because I have a link description below. So.
Oh yeah. I do a podcast with my 3rd or 14th favorite guy from Kentucky named Gordon. We have done our 3rd episode. We interviewed some washed up guy named Chris Perkins in this last episode. But yeah, we are trying to do that monthly. That's the plan. We'll see if that works. And then if you're going to EscapeCon or Adepticon or Gen Con, I'll be there. But that's all I got.
He's a really nice guy, guys. He's you meet him, he might say play faster, but he's a really nice guy. He's a gem of a guy. All right, and so is Gordon too. Gordon's a great guy. So yeah, thank you so much for and link in the description below for all these guys. And again, like Renegade affiliate link for Tales of Valhalla down and link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube as well, and all the links again. And yeah, I'm Ryan, aka Tales of Valhalla, and what are we doing this Sunday? This Sunday we're gonna have a ToV podcast talking about the overview of all this. And when I mean overview, we're just gonna be talking in general with a little bit more panel, so we have a little less time, but we're gonna get more people talking about it. We might have some people from Renegade, some more people from Renegade on with us as well on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. And then next Wednesday, I'll be back here. Possibly Jeremy will be back here, maybe with another guest to finish going in depth, taking a first look at all these miniatures as well. So stay tuned, guys. A lot more is coming. And just thank you everybody for the chat. Again, 100 plus comments in the chat again tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. Unfortunately, I can't read all the comments, but definitely look at it and read the comments in the replay. Anybody who's watching this after the fact. And appreciate everybody. You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it, and we'll see all of you next time.